Anything?
Not a whisper. He's made a thorough job of it. He'll be out there somewhere, though. He'd be laughing himself silly if he could see us buzzing round and round like flies in a bottle, eh? See you later, David. We'll have him by lunchtime, mark my word. It's a good sign, David. If they're late, they might have found something. They might come back with the missing man himself.
Any news?
Nothing.
Well, I expected this, you know. If I know Spats Winterbourne, he wouldn't want to be dragged back on his first morning of freedom. He'll have gone further afield. We'll have to widen the radius, that's all.
What about his father? Wouldn't you want the police called in?
I made a point of phoning him at the office before I came up here. I told him we'd search the 5-mile radius and we'd make it 12 before dark. And I suggested we contact the police. Boy, come and have a look at the map, will you? See if you can work out a plan of campaign for the rest of the day, eh?
Yes, sir. Atkinson, Saunders.
You know, that fellow Winterbourne's a damn codfish. That's what comes of making too much money. The mere mention of the word police sent his blood pressure soaring. Well, I suppose police means publicity. He's had a bellyful of that.
Don't you think we ought to call him in of our own bat?
If we hadn't found him before nightfall. But we will. I'm sure of it. Well, Colonel, what's the plan of campaign, eh?
Well, sir.
Well, we'll have to call the police in now. Publicity or no publicity.
I dare say we'll get a wigging for not reporting him missing earlier, huh? Well, it won't be the first time I've had a wigging.
What'll you tell them?
I'd say that even if we'd reported him missing this morning, they wouldn't have started any serious search until tomorrow. They know that as well as I do. Here.
You seem to take it all so cheerfully.
It's the only way to take it, old boy.
I feel as though we ought to be out there now looking for him.
Yes, I know, but it wouldn't make a scrap of difference. What, Exmoor on a cloudy night? Brrr. We just have to hope he's tucked up cosily somewhere.
But he might be lying out there with a broken leg.
If he's lying out there with a broken leg, there's nothing we can do about it. You've done all you can, David, and so have I. Think I'm not worried, too. I'm just as concerned as you are, but we're not going to be any help to Winterbourne or ourselves if we start going to pieces. Now, you've handled the whole thing very well so far, David.
I should have talked to him about it. I could have done so easily.
What might have been. I doubt if it would have made a jot of difference, then.
I just have this feeling that something terrible is going to happen, and, well, I'm partly to blame.
Now, listen to me. I have my intuitions, too, you know. As to Winterbourne, well, I'm just annoyed we've got to report a failure to that beastly father of his, and of course I'm sorry for the little toad himself, but my intuition is that he's all right. We're going to find him safe and sound.
You're right.
Come on, David. You get home and get a good night's sleep. You're not going to be any help to me or Winterbourne if you go on shredding your nerves like this. Now, oh, hold on a minute. This is what you want. Algy's nerve tonic. There you are. And this is the dose. 2 large ones for you, 1 large one for Beth. And then straight to bed. Never fails, old boy.
Well, that was nice of him, wasn't it? Oh, do cheer up, Davy.
You could tell I was cracking up, see? He didn't say so in so many words, but that's what he was thinking.
That's nonsense. You know he thinks the world of you.
He's had to take over from me, though, hasn't he? He knew I couldn't cope with it.
Davy, it's his school. The boys are his responsibility.
It's my house, though, isn't it? Oh, God damn that woman. I could strangle her with one of her own silk stockings.
I'm sure she'd have postponed her divorce if she'd known you were the housemaster. Oh, come on. Joke?
Too near the truth. No, if it hadn't have been this, it'd have been something else, though, wouldn't it? Oh, well, it didn't take long to find me out, did it? I could see Algy sitting there thinking, oh, well, I slipped up here. I've got myself a dud housemaster.
Davy, you've done absolutely everything you could. There really isn't anything else, is there?
Any of the others could have coped with it. Taworth, Carter, they'd have taken it in their stride.
Oh, yes, I can just see Carter. He'd have taken the whole cadet corps out onto the moor and marched them into a bog.
You know what it is, I suppose. After all these years, I still don't feel as though I belong here. It's still like a foreign country. And so I have to watch every step, make sure everything's absolutely right, because there's no concessions for outsiders. And then one day they'd just turn around and say, sorry, Paula Jones, that's it. You tried hard, but it just won't wash. Not on, wrong type, sling your hook.
Davy, if anyone belongs here, it's you. Anyone can see that.
Do you really mean that? Beth, you must be sick of this. I'm sorry, I really will try and shut up soon.
No. I quite like you like this. Do you remember how shy you were when we first met?
Hopeless. Doesn't bear thinking about.
Oh, yes, it does. You were lovely. And you know, these last couple of years, what with everything going so well, you getting your degree and working on your book, marching around the school, impressing everyone with your efficiency. Well, it isn't that I felt neglected or taken for granted or anything like that. But I did just wonder once or twice whether you needed me as much as I need you.
Well, now you know.
Come on. The best ever.
Oh, you always say that.
Well, it's always true. Give or take the occasional off night. If a fairy came to Bamfield and said, you have one wish, Beth, I'd say, I'd like to be in bed with this man, David Powlett Jones, just after making love and just before going to sleep. So there. Good night. Oh, come on, Joan. Any news?
No, not yet. It's too early yet. The police went out half an hour ago. They sounded pretty hopeful, though. You're going to be late, aren't you?
Oh, don't I know it? Oh, Joan, please keep still for a moment. Well, don't try to help me.
Come on, Gracie. Come on. Got to make you look pretty for the photographs.
Are you sure you don't need the car this morning?
Oh, absolutely. The police can take over from now on. Algie said something about combing the southeastern region. I'm to stay here and hold the fort. Inspector Chorley's sending a chap over this afternoon to take statements. They can't do anything without putting it down on paper, and I'm to do it.
I can just imagine Winterbourne sitting by some little stream cooking up his breakfast.
Anything?
Not a whisper. He's made a thorough job of it. He'll be out there somewhere, though. He'd be laughing himself silly if he could see us buzzing round and round like flies in a bottle, eh? See you later, David. We'll have him by lunchtime, mark my word.
It's a good sign, David. If they're late, they might have found something. They might come back with the missing man himself.
Any news?
Nothing.
Well, I expected this, you know. If I know Spats Winterbourne, he wouldn't want to be dragged back on his first morning of freedom. He'll have gone further afield. We'll have to widen the radius, that's all.
What about his father? Won't you want the police called in?
I made a point of phoning him at